say that stick and knife fighting are odds. They're not matched. The other thing I say is that our knife counters are very much designed to know who you're fighting. So, our Kendo, the early knife counters, yellow belt, orange belt, they're designed to work against fatigue with a knife. So someone who stabs at you and leaves pain, right? So basic stuff. Why? Because I'm not fast enough to deal with someone good with a knife at that point. I don't have the reaction time. But we do have one knife counter we teach pretty much right around the middle. So that's halfway through your curriculum. You've been here a couple years. You have some reaction time. You have some speed. This kind of focuses the basics of what we like to think about knives. So again, it's not someone who has like 10 years of Eskrima, because you're just not finding someone with 10 years of Eskrima. You don't have 10 years of Eskrima, you're going to die, right? But maybe someone has some experience, right? Who kind of knows what they're doing. So you come at me, you're shanking me, right? Move offline. This is my bone shield out. I'm going to push in, trying to capture. I don't even care about disarming. I'm just pounding you in the face. At some point thereafter, I'll split that out. But only after I've hit you in the face enough to make you get a little loose. How can such a knife counter be so simple? It's because that's basically all you have at the time.
Right.
And so if he comes at me, bash, beat him up, keep beating him, keep beating him, keep beating him. When you have time, just so you can see this, I'm doing this lower, so what I'm doing, I have the thumb bed, pushing the knife out. Spin that around. Got it? Boom. Hit, hit, hit. There's that disarm. There you go. Again. Alright. That's only when it needs a knife anyway.
Okay.
I think knife counters, you can get into more of them. They gotta be simple.
Right.
And the more you teach them, so you can do one from a slash and hook. Like 3 or 4 things and get good at those is better from a systems perspective than 10 or 20 intricate stuff. The more intricate you get, the less likely I think it works. Especially
Right. Right.
club counters. Clubs you can do a lot more with, right? Because if you touch me with it, but I block it, it may hurt and bruise, but not going to kill me. The knife, anytime it touches you, it cuts you. So I describe knife fighting as fighting like with a lightsaber, for the nerdy crowd here. But anytime you get touched, you get damaged. Whereas the club, I can mitigate that to a larger extent. So different types of club counters we like to do. Kind of one of the canonical Kendo ones. Give you kind of a sense of the system. He comes in me just a full hand 45 strike. I come underneath. Nice good block. I'm going to hit you in the back of the head, and as soon as this is happening, I come into my own figure 4. From here, I'm going to sweep you out, take you to the tap, I'm going to beat you like me. But again, this is going to be that mid-range, kind of mid-skill opponent, right? So you're not super whipping it, but you're not just kind of thumping like a Bubba Club. I'm going to come up and underneath. I can make a strike here, too. There's no reason that I can't hit here. I'm off ice and off angle. Hit, smash, and come in. From here, if your foot's back and I can't step through, it doesn't matter. The figure 4 lock's already there. Once I have the figure 4 lock, I have to get the split. If not, you're going to start spinning. This is going to be awkward, and we don't want that. So I'm going to wedge you, strip it, basically break, and then take it. Other club counter I really like comes from basic boxing, actually. The very entry is a standard, what we call monkey block here, but standard just covering up a block. So he swings that stick at me. I'm here. There's my hit. Why does this work? Because it's stuck in place. This works well against fastball. So you can swing faster at me, I can still hit. From here, I have to come over. This is the hard part, but if you stun him, it works. Strip the stick. Even if you don't stop him, let's say I can't grab it, because you start retracting, that may be fine, because I can at least use my hand to push this away and hit you. And maybe I come this way. Doesn't matter. Just knowing the same thing you did to block every hook punch you've ever done in your life, on either side, boxing also works. Why aren't you skilled?
As long as you close the distance.
Yes.
If
I stay back here, if I stay back here,
there's a broken arm.
Exactly.
So make sure you close the
And
distance.
by the way, medical information, the part right here on your bone is called, right here, it's most likely to break, it's called a surgical neck fracture. Why? Lots of surgeons repair those on the neck of your humerus, your long bone here. So if you're going to absorb on the arm, you want to absorb here, and you want to have the other arm also absorb. Similarly, never block a strike or a stick with one forearm. This is called a nightstick fracture. You can nightstick fracture your ulna, or you can nightstick fracture your radius. But either way, this happens a lot. You know it happens a lot because it has a name called nightstick fracture in medicine. It happens all the time. So if I'm going to block something out here, because I have to, with both bones, he throws a big overhand clobber with his left to punch both bones. we all think about high blocks like this. This only works because it's straight up and down. The instant I go at an angle and I try to do this, it's going to break. Why do I know this? Happened to my wife at her black belt test. In a sling, came back, tested for more than 3 hours. But don't block. And if you come in powerful, you're going to win. I'm going to blow my arm. Instead, block here. Or instead, turn it all the way. Now I have 2 bones again. And that's why if you swing that stick here in that first counter, right, which if you have 2 counters, see, that's why this works. Now is that counter? It's not here. It's not single blade. Because bones break.
Can we flip around?
Sure.
Do that again?
Let's do both those
yeah.
Or the boxing one here, I hit you. This hooks out. If you can get to the wrist here, I now can control your weapon because I'm actually controlling the weapon. Even if I can't control the weapon because he knows what he's doing, he starts retracting, he starts fighting me. Any way he fights, I don't care. I'm kind of checking this and knowing where it is and hitting with my other hand. And maybe he has to start blocking with this hand, and now it's a much better fight for me at least because I'm making him deal with everything. It's still going to be a scramble, it's still a fight, not like you get the win automatically. But now, you're not just thinking about beating me with your blunt object. You're thinking about blocking my fist together. And maybe, hopefully, I can win.
They're thinking I just attacked the wrong guy.
Exactly. Exactly. Now you're going, wait a minute, this is not what I was trying to get into.
Right.
So we can put that back now. See what else we can put over here so I don't lose everything. So a couple other things we like to do in One-Hop Kendo. I think that we're kind of we wanted to get a sense of our school, kind of how we take Kung Fu, put it in cage fighting and just in general. We're both in the boxing position. You think this is a cage fight. You throw that jab at me, I check. We all do this, right? But in Kung Fu, I do that. So I will bounce off of that. It's completely legal in MMA. There's no reason you can't do it. I can also slip the jab in and come out here. A lot of people only throw that straight punch, but by slipping and throwing the back fist, if you throw that cross at me, I have an auto check. So instead of just relying on that shoulder, so he throws that jab again, this is what you're typically taught, right? You rely on that shoulder, now if he throws the cross, my arm's here, great, nothing's getting hit, but I don't have any offense. So here, same thing, my shoulder's still up because I'm not an idiot, but my back fist protects me. Boom, boom, boom. I can bounce. And if I can trap with the backhand, it gets even better.
I feel the Filipino in there.
Absolutely. A little Filipino Kung Fu, as it were. And all this works in MMA gloves. Can't do it in boxing gloves, but in MMA gloves, in an MMA fight, our guys do it, and it works very, very well. Because now I'm jabbing you, you're getting out of the way, you throw that counter jab at me, bam. And you're thinking, exactly, I had one hand there to block that and your counter cross.
Right.
And it's like, what's going on? He's doing weird things with his hands. The other thing we do is we throw a lot of front leg side kicks. So we don't believe in back leg side kicks. We think that if you're here and I'm taking this foot, showing you my butt and coming through, by the time I ever do that, you're going to do something terrible to me. But front leg side kicks are a different thing. But they always require a setup. If I'm just here and you're here, and I try to come in and side kick you, you're generally going to bring that up. I may be able to side kick your thumb. You've seen people start doing that type of thing, kind of in UFC kicking around. But keep it simple. But if you're kind of Mr. Jab, and you throw all these jabs at me, I can time my side kick off your jab. And that works really well, and that backs people up. The other thing we do is we make it a spin technique. So if we're circling with each other, we circle this way. I let you over-rotate on the spin. So you just come there and you run into my side kick. Most people are very familiar with the spinning side kick. Let's have this angle where I just am here and I come straight in. He knows what he's at. He knows that. Quite sure. Maybe at the end of a combination I've backed him up and stunned him. I can nail that. You've seen GSP do it. But the better spin side kicks, and we've seen some of these spin hook kicks work very similarly recently in the cage, is always at an angle. So if we're circling, we have this motion. I let you start, now I'm matching, but I let you over-rotate, and then you come right in. Similarly, if you're going the other way, I can do the same thing. I let you over-rotate, and I overspin. So I actually spin, unlike a regular side kick, instead of always kind of taught on the back, always spin 180 degrees.
Right.
What I'm really doing is spinning less than that, so say 150 or 130, or more than that, 210, 240. And it's off the motion. So since we're really circling kind of at this rate, it's really just me slowing down for a half second, and there's the side kick, and they run into it. So that's one of the other little weird kind of Kung Fu things we'll do is we'll throw those spin side kicks in. If They're really flexible, and depending on where you're doing MMA or anywhere pro MMA, you can also make those spinning kicks.
And I'm sure the amateur guys in the MMA ring aren't
Not used to side kicks.
Right.
So they're never used to side kicks.
Or spin kicks for that.
Or spin kicks. Some of them are used to the straight spin side kick, but nothing else.
Right.
And they're not used to these weird hands.
Right.
So it's one thing if you're kind of out here, pointing like I call them on the side. But if you're out here and really the distance, you don't want that. Your core is open, you're square, you're going to get taken down. But if you're just doing the standard kung fu game, bam, you're just popping them. And I throw my jab at you, and it's like, what's going on? And I rebound off, kind of like a parry and repose you see in fencing, bouncing off. You start doing that, then you can start landing nasty overhand rights. You all lead to a straight cross. You can do that and then come in on the left, the hook, or what's called vertical returning back fist. So for that one, boom, boom, and there's my vertical return. It's not quite a hook, I could do that too, but I'm just doing the vertical return from the camera. It's this. All that motion is, back fist comes out and comes back, right? That's the back fist. A return back fist, just make the second part the left. So snap out and back, just make the second part the left. So you have one side of the face, other side of the face. It's like a jab, jab, pop, jab, jab, boom. And so anytime you see the shoulder kind of tilt, I'm actually trying to get you to read that. You think it's here. It's really...
So I may cover here,
exactly,
cover the side,
and then pop the side of here. Right on the ear. So that's most of kind of some of the basic stuff. So we do a lot of basic judo in here, but any judo, BJJ I show you is very similar to everywhere else because it's the same stuff. One thing I will show for submissions, we have a pretty good no-gi feel. I mean, other people have probably done, but just something we do a lot here. I haven't seen it. So I don't know if we need to tilt that down at all.
No, we're good.
Right, so if you're on your ground, well, let's start from the ground here. So you're on your back, and I'm north-south on you. Once I move this way a little bit for the camera angle. So I get you here. Let's actually talk from side mount. This is how I set that. I'm in side mount, and you know what you're doing a little bit, so you start shrimping and kind of moving around on me. So this is what I call the Homer Simpson. We just keep moving. Right? Well, I don't want to play this game forever, so I actually dive and come north-south. Now, as I do this, notice how I have my head on your chest. I actually block this hip, so you can't fully turn it.
Right.
Once I have this, my right arm is underneath your neck. My left arm comes underneath your neck and grabs my own arm, and then I just sit.
That works.
Yeah, it's really terrible.
Really well.
I can hit air or I can hit blood.
Right.
So if you turn your head to resist the air choke, it becomes a blood choke.
Nice.
But,
can we flip that around?
Let's flip that around. So I'm again here. You're starting to move. And I can do this with your arm in. If your arm's strapped, I don't care. Once I'm here, I grab my own bicep, I roll your head sideways, and I just start to scissor. And once I get my own elbows connected,
very nice choke.
it's very similar to the standard north-south choke where you see where you're here and you sit back.
Right.
But I'm taking this other arm and putting it in. So the way to explain this is that I'm doing this, and your head's in that spot. So I actually try to connect my one arm in to try to connect my other. The standard Ezekiel, the gi, you're just grabbing the back collar, pulling the front collar. There's no collars here. So I know the Ezekiel, you actually have to grab either here or here, depending on the size of their neck. You just squeeze.
I'm familiar with the Ezekiel choke with the gi. I've never seen a no gi, so I appreciate you sharing that.
It's one of my favorite ones. The other one that's really fun from here. This is just a trick move, but it's really just. This is one that you do against the guy who's kind of gotten used to in your gym, who like knows your no-gi Ezekiel and gets obnoxious with it. So I come back to where you were. This is just for fun. I won't use this a lot, but it's funny. And funny sometimes is good, because they're all sports. So I'm here, and you start kind of like pushing against me and kind of giving me your arm. So I feel that arm.
Right.
I actually grab your elbow, sit through and hook, and there's your elbow tap. And your shoulder.
Nice.
That one only works once or twice on a person, but it gets them to respect your no-gi Ezekiel anymore. But I use that in a cage? No. If I'm in a weird scramble on the street, sure, I might just take a limb and roll over.
Right.
Probably not. But it's just good to know that there's a submission you can sit through. But it's a scramble, so I actually have to sit through and hook your leg. It takes a little more work, but it's fun. It's quick. And why not? It's basically an Americana.
Right.
Same position, but sit and roll through. So just imagine you're rolling their elbow up towards your body.
Huh.
That's it. Those are those are kind of the two weirder big submissions you'll see more. So we kind of do specific. Everyone has a triangle. Oh, my arm bar. I have an arm bar out this way, control your body, pull the leg over the head, right? And kind of that progression. So you're used to when I hip out this way, what am I going to do? I'm going to attack this arm. Right. Well, one hop kendo is all about perception. So I start attacking that arm. What are you going to do? You're going to start moving it, right? So, it's the same setup that we think of as an omoplata, where I roll around. But with an omoplata, I have to have more movement to really be able to turn this way. Right. With this armbar, all I have to do is I'm starting to hip out. You think, oh, I'm going to go for a triangle, or you think I'm going to armbar that. So you really start defending that side. I just hook this down. If I get it under your head, it's great. I don't even have to. I can just crank from there. If I get it under your face, it's always over. Right? So it's just a matter of knowing that you can hip out to this side and throw this foot over the head, which is basically an inside pressing kick, and go for the arm bar, the same as you would if you put this behind the back and throw the other one over to attack the other arm. Right. So I call it the far side arm bar because it's the opposite side that you usually get. It feels like someone's going for an omo or a triangle on you, but it's really not.
That is very deceptive.
It hits. It hits all the time. It hits against good jits players because it's weird.
Right.
I see people hit it in the cage because it's weird. They throw this punch up like, oh, it happens back one way against you. You just slip out the other way and throw that opposite foot under the chin. It's always there. Now, if people are bearing their head, it doesn't work obviously, but then that's if they're bearing their head looking down, it's going to go for elbow. Because they're now letting you escape. Right? If you bury that head down, and I can't throw that foot over because your head's down, that means you're hitting the floor, which means that you no longer can prevent me from elbowing. So one just that's kind of how we like. That's how I've been trying to integrate kind of the deceptive thoughts of one-hop kendo, since it's always about layers of deception and fight into grappling. Oh, comes to the takedown from standing. So
we're getting great material here. I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Let's say you go for a hip throw on me. So I come in, I stop you, and I squirt out, and I start coming in for a suplex. This type of thing happens, right? Right. You kind of know what you're doing. You sit down, you start defending this. That's great. Put my hand on your neck, take it down. Now I can throw this in or do whatever I want. It's what I call a cheap parlor trick. So if I say, like my students always want, like, oh, they need to learn something so they can show someone at a party they know kung fu. They want to hurt someone. This is the standing project. I just stand there. You're just going to go to the ground. It's stupid. Right? There's no pain. It just has to do with physics. Because if I push up on your neck and hold the small of your back, I'm making you look up and you fall over. So same concept. Anytime I get to the suplex, and you're resisting and making life hard, you may be holding this hand fine. You let this one go. I just come up. Right.
Very nice. Very nice.
It works remarkably well, given how simple it is. You can also, if you're defending yourself, not your friend, this is not necessarily a gentle push. It's going to be an upward hammer fist into something. But the trick is, I don't want to just push you back. I want to take your head up, make you look, and then look over your own shoulder. So straight up, you can resist with your neck. Use your neck muscle. But once I turn your head sideways, your neck muscle is going to work as well, because I'm twisting in two directions.
Especially if you cut it at 45.
Exactly.
Neck muscles are horrible at resisting 45 degrees.
Exactly. So whenever I have you here and I'm pushing, I'm pushing up at an angle. Now once I have this, there's a drop. Right. It's one of the stupid ninja magic tricks. But it's like if you have someone resist and push their arms down and do it again, it's easier. One of those types of things. This works for martial arts. It works all the time. I think that's most of the stuff. I was going to give you a 10-minute, 15-minute segment of weird things that we do. Buzzsaw, that big one, always snapping punches. You can slip and then throw quick techniques. So understanding that wrestling requires you to shoot in, but all wrestlers, if I'm a right-handed wrestler, I fight right forward. If I'm a right-handed boxer, I fight left forward. So how do you deal with that? Well, we deal with that kind of dichotomy by cutting and then you shoot in off that bottom foot. You watch people like GSP. He's a great Kyokushin fighter. He's also a great wrestler. His Kyokushin, big power slide through cross, right? They're seeing Street Fighter, some big nerd like Foul Raw. Right? This big slide across. He has this explosive push through. Well, what he made him so good at wrestling one day, if you all woke up one day and GSP was the guy who's wrestling, you actually watch him. His step through on his cross is the same as his step through on his double. So you'll see him just come through. And he basically hits you between the legs, not in the groin, but he powers through the same hip motion with the follow through. Right. Same concept of what we do. We cut through. Anytime I'm boxing, and that's what Kajukenbo is good at, mixing karate and judo, and wrestling, all this. Anytime I'm throwing punches, you see this, that tells you hand. It could also tell you leg. So that's basic, kickboxing. You're trying to make this true MMA, and not just switch modes. This should also be able to be a shoot. This here should also be able to be a shoot. It should also be true. So when you're in the mirror and you're working in the mirror and trying to make your takedowns better, 2 rules. 1, always be in striking distance. If I'm not here, I can't shoot you, you're going to sprawl me. I can punch you in the face, I can take you down. 2, if my hip comes this, whenever I throw a punch, that means my shoot has to look like this. So if I do this off my jab, then maybe my shoot is there. Alright? It has to look the same. It has to look the same. And it also matters. We always teach learn combos. Jab, cross, hook, cross. Jab, cross. So hip, 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 shoot. Hip, 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 shoot. Hip, hip, shoot. So then in your bag work, if you're doing that, you just have to do jab, cross. You're not going to take it right down every time. You just got to build a shoots into your hip. And typically our throws come off of the shoot where we rise up. So I shoot, you start to sprawl, I stand up, and there I get under your hips. Or I'm going to clinch already. I've clinched you and I go through. There's no way I'm just going to walk up to you and throw you. That is never going to happen. It's always going to be off of clinch, which either I generate or you generate. And that'll either be because we're clinching or striking, so it's against the cage, so it's against the wall, I punch into you and grab on, or I shoot in and get on top of me but don't fully sprawl, and I load you up. Only way to get it. And our guys might they clinches people. When you're a good striker, they clinch you. And so they clinch you through. I think that covers it.
Awesome.
Thank
Sifu, thank you so much. Appreciate your
Pleasure.
time. And look forward to another trip back here to
Absolutely.
North Carolina.
I'm glad to get you in here.
Absolutely.
Glad to get you in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.